Venezuela's oil sector, despite United States sanctions since 2019, remains resilient through mixed companies. The Situational Monitoring and Supervision Room, inaugurated on May 30th, 2025, oversees these entities to ensure production continuity. We shall explore how Petroboscán, Petroindependiente, Petropiar, Petroindependencia and Loran fit within this framework. We shall also examine NVor, Erepla and Reimpet's roles, ensuring a comprehensive analysis. The Absolute Productive Independence Plan guides this resilience. Venezuela's energy strategy shapes global markets. The United States imposes comprehensive sanctions targeting PDVSA and key figures, aiming to curb Venezuela's revenue. Yet, Venezuela adapts through mixed companies and evasion tactics. The Situational Monitoring and Supervision Room, as part of President Nicolás Maduro's May 30th, 2025 speech, ensures these entities meet production targets like 1,007,200 barrels per day in May 2025. Chevron's involvement in these mixed companies, despite sanctions, is significant. Petroboscán features a 39.2% Chevron interest. Petroindependiente features a 25.2% Chevron's interest. Petropiar features a 30% Chevron's interest. Petroindependencia features a 34% Chevron's interest. And Loran features a 60% Chevron's interest. NVor's role in Petrocedeño, Erepla's financial deal with PDVSA, and Reimpet's services support this framework. The secret plan for gas and petrochemicals may involve these entities. The secret plan for growth targets between 2 and 3 million barrels per day during the forthcoming years, restoring OPEC Plus influence. The humanitarian impact of sanctions cannot be overlooked. Reduced revenues exacerbate economic challenges, affecting local population. Venezuelan government's emphasis on social investment, with 75% of the budget, aims to mitigate this. The claim that 5 sanctioned countries hold 46% of revenues invites scrutiny. Venezuela, Iran, Russia, Iraq, and Libya collectively possess significant assets. The United States sanctions reflect a strategy to control these resources. The interplay of reserves, sanctions, and evasion tactics influences global energy markets. The Situational Monitoring and Supervision Room, inaugurated on May 30th, 2025, is Venezuela's response to sanctions. President Nicolás Maduro's speech emphasized overseeing 7 mixed companies for production continuity, ensuring joint venture companies meet targets. President Nicolás Maduro highlighted Petropiar's record production and Petroboscán's growth. We shall detail how these entities navigate restrictions. NVor's involvement in Petrocedeño, Erepla's financial deal with PDVSA, and Reimpet's services support this. The secret plan for growth may involve refining these efforts. Petroboscán, operating in Zulia State with a 39.2% Chevron interest, is crucial. The Boscán field's heavy crude is strategic for exports. Petroindependiente, with a 25.2% Chevron interest in Lake Maracaibo, LL 652 field, diversifies production. Petropiar, with a 30% Chevron interest in the Orinoco Belt, processes extra heavy crude. Petroindependencia, with a 34% interest in Carabobo 3, enhances output. Loran, with a 60% interest in Plataforma Deltana, targets gas. Petrocedeño is a joint venture in Venezuela's oil sector, specifically focused on the Orinoco Belt, which is known for its vast extra-heavy crude oil reserves. Established in the early 2000s, Petrocedeño is part of the strategic alliances formed during Hugo Chávez's presidency to develop the Orinoco Belt's resources. The venture is a partnership between PDVSA, Venezuela's state-owned oil company, Total Energies from France, and Equinor from Norway, with PDVSA holding the majority stake. Petrocedeño operates the Jose Antonio Anzoátegui upgrader, located in the Jose complex in the Orinoco Belt, which processes extra-heavy crude into synthetic crude oil suitable for export. The Jose complex, including Petrocedeño, is crucial for Venezuela's oil strategy due to its capacity to handle the challenging extra-heavy crude, which requires upgrading before it can be refined. The complex's infrastructure includes upgraders, pipelines, and storage facilities, making it a cornerstone of Venezuela's efforts to monetize its vast reserves. However, production has been significantly impacted by United States sanctions since 2019, leading to underutilization and decay of infrastructure. The Absolute Productive Independence Plan, announced in May 2025, aims to revitalize such ventures, and Petrocedeño is likely a key target due to its strategic importance. We shall detail how NABEP's financial arm ensures production. NABEP, or North American Blue Energy Partners, is a United States-based company whose role in Petrocedeño is financial and operational, serving as the financial arm of operations within the venture. This role was highlighted in a report by Venezuela Politica on May 29, 2025, indicating that NABEP continues to maneuver within Venezuela despite United States sanctions, maintaining operations in the Faja Petrolífera del Orinoco, where Petrocedeño is located. NABEP provides capital to sustain Petrocedeño's operations, crucial given the sanctions-induced liquidity constraints on PDVSA. This financial support ensures the maintenance of the Jose Antonio Anzoátegui upgrader and related infrastructure. NABEP coordinates with PDVSA and international partners, Total Energies and Equinor, to manage procurement, logistics, and operational continuity. This includes securing spare parts, chemicals, and other necessities that are difficult to obtain under sanctions. The Situational Monitoring and Supervision Room indirectly benefits from NABEP's services as they maintain infrastructure for monitored entities. NABEP's operations are part of a broader strategy to evade sanctions. This involves complex financial arrangements and third-party transactions, which are critical for Petrocedeño's survival amidst international restrictions. NABEP's role is thus pivotal in keeping Petrocedeño operational, contributing to Venezuela's goal of gradually increasing daily production throughout 2025. The secret plan for growth may involve expanding NABEP's capacity within Petrocedeño, potentially integrating gas and petrochemicals further enhancing Venezuela's energy strategy. We shall now focus on Erepla's $500 million deal with PDVSA, which involves an investment of up to $500 million to increase production at 3 Venezuelan oil fields. Tijuana Lago Field is located at Western Lake Maracaibo region, Zulia State. It produces heavy crude with an American Petroleum Institute gravity of around 10 or 12. Tijuana Lago Field has historically produced over 100,000 barrels per day, but declined to below 50,000 barrels per day due to sanctions and underinvestment. Erepla's deal aims to restore production to 70,000 barrels per day within 3 years, leveraging its $500 million investment. Tijuana Lago Field is critical for Venezuela's heavy crude exports, particularly to China, enhancing foreign exchanging earnings. Rosa Mediano Field is located at Western Lake Maracaibo region, Zulia State, adjacent to Tijuana Lago. It produces heavy crude similar to Tijuana Lago. Rosa Mediano Field has historically produced around 30,000 barrels per day, but significantly reduced due to infrastructure decay. Erepla targets a production increase to 50,000 barrels per day within 3 years through investment in well rehabilitation and upgrading facilities. Rosa Mediana Field complements Tijuana Lago, ensuring a balanced production strategy in the Lake Maracaibo region, crucial for maintaining regional infrastructure. Ayacucho 5 block is located at Eastern Orinoco Belt, a vast area within Anzoátegui and Monagas states known for extra heavy crude, with an American Petroleum Institute gravity of 8 to 10, requiring upgrading for export. Larger Orinoco Belt has proven reserves of 303.3 billion barrels. Previous production was minimal due to sanctions and lack of investment. Erepla aims to increase production up to 150,000 barrels per day within 5 years through investment in upgrading plants and drilling new wells. Its strategic importance is part of Venezuela's strategy to exploit the Orinoco Belt's vast reserves, enhancing long-term production capacity and aligning with international partners like CNPC and Rosneft. Reimpet, providing services in Anzoátegui, supports the industry but is not a joint venture company. We shall consider its indirect role. Reimpet International Corporation, part of Reimpet Holding Group, provides rehabilitation services for oil wells in Anzoátegui, a key oil producing region in eastern Venezuela. These services are crucial for sustaining and increasing oil production, particularly in the context of the situational monitoring and supervision rooms framework and the absolute productive independence plan. Specific services provided by Reimpet include well rehabilitation. Reimpet specializes in reactivating idle wells, a critical service given the decay of infrastructure due to years of underinvestment and sanctions. This involves diagnostic assessments, mechanical repairs, and the application of enhanced oil recovery techniques. Infrastructure maintenance is another service. Reimpet maintains existing oil field infrastructure, including pipelines, pumping stations, and storage facilities. This ensures the operational integrity of fields like Santa Barbara and Furrial, which are significant contributors to production in the states of Anzoátegui and Monagas. Technical expertise is another service supplied by Reimpet. Despite sanctions, Reimpet leverages local technical expertise to navigate restrictions, sourcing materials and technology through alternative channels. This expertise is vital for the Absolute Productive Independence Plan, aiming to boost production without relying on foreign direct investment. Reimpet's services indirectly support other monitored entities under the Situational Monitoring and Supervision Room's oversight, such as Petroboscán, Petroindependiente, Petropiar, Petroindependencia and Loran. For instance, Chevron's operations in these ventures require infrastructure support, which Reimpet provides. Anzoátegui's role in increasing daily barrels per day output in Venezuela is significant, with Reimpet's services directly contributing to this target. The region's infrastructure maintenance is a focal point, ensuring that fields like Furrial, with historical production peaks, can be reactivated. Reimpet's resilience against sanctions reflects broader trends in Venezuela's energy strategy. The secret plan for growth may involve expanding Reimpet's service capacity, potentially integrating gas and petrochemicals, further shaping Venezuela's energy future. The Situational Monitoring and Supervision Room's oversight ensures that Reimpet's operations align with national production goals, coordinating with NABEP, Erepla, and international partners. Chevron's role ensures technical presence, NABEP's financial support maintains trade flows, Erepla's investment enhances capacity, Reimpet's services support infrastructure. Venezuela wells provide profitability and long, useful life. Venezuela needs 5 to 10 years across joint ventures to achieve profitability, depending on infrastructure rehabilitation, market recovery, and sanction evasion. The useful life of these fields, under optimal conditions, ranges from 15 to 35 years, offering a significant contrast to global depletion trends, where many reserves may exhaust in 2 or 3 decades. Chevron could achieve profitability in 3 to 8 years per venture, leveraging its technical and financial assets, but this depends on sanction relief or effective evasion. Challenges are severe, caused by decades of underinvestment, mismanagement, and sanctions. PDVSA's strategy in the early 2000s of resource nationalism and reduced foreign involvement imagined success through state control, but led to technical decline and infrastructure decay due to mismanagement and lack of technical capacity. Chevron's assets include advanced recovery technologies, financial resources, upgrader expertise, and operational experience, ensuring smooth future development if sanctions are lifted or evaded effectively. NABEP provides capital flow. Erepla invests in production enhancements, and Reimpet ensures infrastructure maintenance, collectively ensuring smooth future development if sanctions are navigated effectively. Petroboscán operated by Petroboscán Sociedad Anónima with a 39.2 Chevron interest, is a pivotal entity in Venezuela's oil sector, focusing on the Boscán field in Lagunillas municipality, Zulia state. This field is renowned for its heavy crude oil, characterized by an American Petroleum Institute gravity of approximately 10.5 degrees, which requires significant upgrading for export. Historically, Petroboscán has been a major producer with peak outputs exceeding 100,000 barrels per day, but production has dwindled to around 50,000 barrels per day due to sanctions and underinvestment. Discovered in 1946 by Shell, the Boscán field initially produced light oil but shifted to heavy crude as reserves depleted. Production peaked in the late 1990s at over 100,000 barrels per day, driven by significant investment in infrastructure and enhanced oil recovery techniques. However, post-2000, production declined due to underinvestment, mismanagement by PDVSA, and the impact of United States sanctions since 2019, dropping to approximately 50,000 barrels by 2025. The decay is attributed to neglected maintenance, lack of spare parts, and the heavy crude's technical challenges. Boscán's field potential lies in its proven reserves of 7,176,000,000 barrels, but revitalization requires substantial capital for upgrading facilities and enhanced recovery. Venezuela needs at least 5 to 7 years to make this operation profitable again, considering infrastructure, rehabilitation, and market stabilization. For Chevron, profitability could be achieved in 3 to 5 years with focused investment, given its technical expertise. The field's useful life under optimal conditions could extend 20 to 30 years, contrasting with global depletion trends where many reserves may exhaust in 2 or 3 decades. Strategic importance of Petroboscán lies in its contribution to Venezuela's heavy crude exports, particularly to China, which accounted for 450,000 barrels per day in May 2025. The gravity of challenges for Petroboscán includes infrastructure decay, sanctions-induced capital constraints, and heavy crude processing needs. The secret plan for growth may involve expanding Petroboscán's capacity to 100,000 barrels per day within 3 years, potentially integrating gas and petrochemicals to diversify revenue streams. Petroindependiente, operated by Petroindependiente Sociedad Anónima with a 25.2% Chevron interest, focuses on the LL652 field located in the Cabimas municipality of Zulia state within Lake Maracaibo, a region critical for Venezuela's light and medium crude production. This venture diversifies output, producing crude with an American Petroleum Institute gravity of 20 to 30 degrees, which is less challenging to refine compared to heavy crude. Historically, the LL 652 field has been a significant contributor, with production peaking at around 70,000 barrels per day, but it has since declined to approximately 30,000 barrels per day due to infrastructure decay and sanctions. Discovered in the 1950s, the LL 652 field initially produced light crude, peaking in the 1970s at around 70,000 barrels per day due to robust investment and technology. Production declined in the 1990s as water intrusion and aging infrastructure became issues exacerbated by PDVSA's focus on heavier fields post-2000. By 2025, production is around 30,000 barrels per day, further impacted by sanctions. The decay results from neglected maintenance, lack of investment in water management, and sanctions restricting technology access. LL 652 field's potential for light and medium crude, American Petroleum Institute 20 through 30, offers a valuable diversification opportunity. Venezuela requires 4 to 6 years to achieve profitability, considering infrastructure and water intrusion mitigation. Chevron could see returns in 3 to 4 years with targeted investment in well reactivation and maintenance. The field's useful life, with proper management, could be 15 to 25 years, longer than many global reserves facing depletion. Challenges include water intrusion, aging infrastructure, and sanctions. Strategic importance of Petroindependiente lies in its role in diversifying Venezuela's crude portfolio, reducing dependency on heavy crude exports. Lake Maracaibo's decline poses significant challenges, including water intrusion and aging infrastructure, but Petrindependiente's operations are vital for maintaining production levels. The secret plan for growth may involve expanding capacity in the LL 652 field, potentially targeting associated gas resources to align with the broader energy strategy. Petropiar, operated by Petropiar Sociedad Anónima with a 30% Chevron interest, is located in the Pedro Maria Freitas municipality of Anzoátegui State, a cornerstone of Venezuela's Orinoco Belt strategy, focusing on the Uyapari field. This venture processes extra heavy crude with an American Petroleum Institute gravity of 8 through 10 degrees into synthetic oil through the Jose upgrader, enhancing its value for export. Historically, Petropiar has been a record producer with outputs exceeding 200,000 barrels per day, but production has fallen to around 120,000 barrels per day due to sanctions and underinvestment. Discovered in the early 2000s as part of the Orinoco Belt development, Petropiar's production peaked in 2012 at over 200,000 barrels per day, benefiting from significant investment in upgraders and infrastructure during the Chavez era. However, production declined to around 120,000 barrels per day by 2025 due to sanctions, underinvestment, and upgrader decay. The decay is caused by lack of maintenance, sanctions restricting spare parts, and PDVSA's mismanagement focusing on short-term gains over long-term sustainability. Uyapari field's vast reserves, 303.3 billion barrels, and upgrader capacity offer long-term potential. Venezuela needs 6 to 8 years for profitability, considering upgrader rehabilitation and market recovery. Chevron could achieve returns in 4 to 6 years with focused investment in technology and infrastructure. Uyapari Field's useful life, with optimal management, could exceed 30 years, contrasting with global depletion trends. The strategic importance of Petropiar lies in its role in monetizing the Orinoco Belt's vast reserves, estimated at 303.3 billion barrels. The Uyapari Field's output, upgraded to synthetic oil, is critical for exports to China and India, which together accounted for 600,000 barrels per day in May 2025. Challenges include the need for significant capital investment in upgraders, facing shortages on spare parts and technology as an impact of sanctions. The secret plan for growth may involve expanding Petropiar's capacity, potentially integrating gas and petrochemicals to diversify revenue streams. Petroindependencia, operated by Petroindependencia Sociedad Anónima with a 34% Chevron's interest, focuses on the Carabobo 3 project in the Orinoco Belt, spanning 3 blocks: Carabobo 1 Norte, Carabobo 1 Centro, and Carabobo 3, located at Pedro Maria Freites and Independencia municipalities of Anzoátegui State. This venture targets extra heavy crude with an American Petroleum Institute gravity of 8 through 10 degrees, aiming for long-term production increases. Historically, Petroindependencia has been a nascent producer with outputs below 50,000 barrels per day, but it holds significant potential due to Carabobo area's estimated 31 billion barrels of recoverable reserves. Discovered in the early 2000s, the Carabobo area's production peaked in 2013 at around 50,000 barrels per day, driven by initial investment in infrastructure. However, production declined to below 50,000 barrels per day by 2025 due to sanctions, lack of investment, and infrastructure decay. The decay results from neglected maintenance, sanctions restricting technology, and PDVSA's focus on short-term outputs over long-term development. The Carabobo 1 Norte, Carabobo 1 Centro, and Carabobo 3 projects' potential lies in its 31 billion barrels of recoverable reserves and long-term production capacity. Venezuela requires 7 to 10 years for profitability, considering significant infrastructure and upgrader investments. Chevron could see returns in 5 to 7 years with targeted investment in new wells and upgrades. The field's useful life, with optimal management, could be 25 to 35 years, longer than many global reserves. Strategic importance of Petroindependencia lies in its role in exploiting the Orinoco Belt's vast reserves, enhancing Venezuela's long-term production capacity. The Carabobo area's potential for scaling up output is significant, particularly for exports to China and Russia, which together accounted for 600,000 barrels per day in May 2025. Challenges include the need for substantial investment in upgrading facilities, facing capital flow issues on technology due to the impact of sanctions. The secret plan for growth may involve expanding Petroindependencia's capacity, potentially integrating gas and petrochemicals to align with diversification goals. Loran, a gas project in Block 2, Plataforma Deltana, with a 60% Chevron interest, forms a cross-border field with Trinidad and Tobago, targeting natural gas production. Loran Field is located in the Gulf of Paria, offshore, spanning the Pedernales municipality of Delta Amacuro State, Venezuela, and Trinidad and Tobago. This venture aligns with a secret plan for diversification, focusing on gas resources estimated at 4 trillion cubic feet. Historically, Loran has been a minimal producer with outputs below 10,000 cubic feet per day, but it holds significant potential due to demand for gas in the Caribbean market. Discovered in the late 1990s, Loran's gas production peaked in the early 2000s at around 10,000 cubic feet per day, limited by cross-border agreements and infrastructure challenges. Production declined to minimal levels by 2025 due to sanctions and lack of investment. The decay is caused by neglected infrastructure and sanctions restricting technology. Strategic importance of Loran lies in its role in diversifying Venezuela's energy portfolio, reducing dependency on oil exports. Opportunities arise for the regional energy cooperation with Trinidad and Tobago. The secret plan for growth may involve expanding Loran's gas capacity, potentially integrating petrochemicals to align with Venezuela's broader energy strategy. Loran Field's potential lies in its 4 trillion cubic feet of gas reserves, offering diversification. Venezuela needs 8 to 10 years for profitability, considering infrastructure and cross-border agreements. Chevron could achieve returns in 6 to 8 years with focused investment in gas infrastructure. The field's useful life, with optimal management, could be 20 to 30 years, longer than many global gas reserves. Challenges include sanctions and logistical complexity. Chevron's assets include gas extraction technology, financial resources, and operational expertise, ensuring future development if sanctions are navigated. Petroboscán's heavy crude, Petroindependiente's light and medium crude, Petropiar's synthetic oil, Petroindependencia's extra heavy oil, and Loran's gas are jointly operated by PDVSA and Chevron, ensuring technical presence and benefiting Petrocedeño. Erepla's deal with PDVSA enhances production in nearby fields, aligning with NABEP's goals. Reimpet services in Anzoátegui maintain infrastructure. NABEP's financial support maintains gas and petrochemical trade flows. Sanctions target PDVSA and key figures, aiming to curb Venezuela's revenue. Falsified bills of lading, ship-to-ship transfers, and disabling transponders obscure oil origins. Corruption facilitates movement without documentation. Petroboscán, Petroindependiente, Petropiar, Petroindependencia, and Loran's roles ensure production. NABEP's financial structures reduce exposure. Erepla's opaque operations complicate enforcement. Reimpet's services maintain infrastructure. Sanctions evasion tactics include falsifying bills of lading, altering origin to non-sanctioned ports, for example Brazil, mislabeling cargo, using shell companies for ownership obscurity. Ship-to-ship transfers are conducted at sea. AIS transponders are disabled, complicating tracking. Third-party intermediaries route through Malaysia. Brazil is used for relabeling. Payments are handled via intermediaries. Corruption and bribes facilitate movement without documentation, ensuring acceptance by port authorities. Cryptocurrencies and barter are used for untraceable transactions, exchanging oil for goods and services. The secret plan for growth targets 2 to 3 million barrels per day, restoring OPEC plus influence. It involves short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals. Short-term targets leverage Chevron's output and expand to China and India. Medium-term goals reactivate fields with Russian and Iranian assistance. Long-term plans overhaul infrastructure, hitting 3 million barrels per day. Research suggests Venezuela, Iran, Russia, Iraq, and Libya hold significant energy reserves, possibly 46%, according to Vice President Delcy Rodriguez. Oil reserves total 761.7 billion barrels, close to 44.8% globally. Natural gas reserves add to this figure. United States sanctions target these countries, aiming to control energy resources. The effectiveness and morality of sanctions are debated. The secret plan for growth may involve leveraging these reserves. Venezuela's 303.3 billion barrels of oil and 19.6 trillion cubic meters of gas are crucial. Iran's 157.2 billion barrels and 32.1 trillion cubic meters add significant volume. Russia's 107.8 billion barrels and 37.4 trillion cubic meters underscore its dominance. Iraq's 145 billion barrels and 3.5 trillion cubic meters enhance the total. Libya's 48.4 billion barrels and 1.5 trillion cubic meters complete the picture. United States sanctions on these countries reflect a strategy to control energy resources. Venezuela faces comprehensive measures since 2019. Iran's sanctions, intensified post-2018, target oil exports. Russia's restrictions post-2014 and 2022 limit Western access. Iraq's targeted measures focus on individuals, not oil. Libya's sanctions allow oil exports under conditions. Concentration of energy reserves in sanctioned countries invites scrutiny. Venezuela, Iran, Russia, Iraq, and Libya collectively hold significant assets. The 46% claim reflects this concentration. The effectiveness and morality of sanctions are debated. The secret plan may involve leveraging these reserves. Sanctions reduce PDVSA's revenue, worsening economic conditions. Inflation and scarcity affect daily life. Venezuela's sovereign right to trade shapes its energy strategy. Short-term targets within 1 to 2 years aim for 1.5 million barrels per day. Through leveraging Chevron's output and expanded exports to China, 800,000 barrels per day, and India, 200,000 barrels per day, are crucial. Medium-term plans reactivate fields with Russian and Iranian assistance, reaching 2 or 3 million barrels per day restores Venezuela's OPEC Plus stature as long-term strategies overhaul infrastructure, hitting at 3 million barrels per day. Venezuela's oil production could reach 2 million barrels per day in only 4 years, significantly enhancing its OPEC leverage and global market influence. International community should prioritize global investment and supply chains undeterred by sanctions. Deals involving companies from the United States, Italy, Spain, Vietnam, China, Russia, and India reflect a strategy of international cooperation. This approach could foster a dialogue on how open markets and technological innovation might reshape Venezuela's oil sector and global energy dynamics.